Hello guys, welcome back. I hope you guys are having a splendid day. I hope you guys are riveting. Guess what? I got 800 subscribers! Let's go, baby! Thank you guys so much for 800 subscribers. I know that sometimes people say it's not a big deal. It is a big deal to me. I don't know the amount of ego boosts I get just from seeing that number. Oh, it makes me feel like I got a hard on and I'm a woman. Maybe I do. Maybe it's stiff and it's hard and I can't put it down, but it's thank you guys. Like seriously so much. I can't believe we're 200 subscribers away from 1,000. No, seriously, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm very thankful for you guys. I'm a very appreciative person. Anyways, today's video is about the Oscars and why I keep snubbing horror movies so much and why does it keep happening every fucking year. When you see Nope and Hereditary and Nosferatu, those have really big league actors. It's got beautiful cinematography. It's got directors are really good. There's a lot of money that is generated in horror movies every year, so it's a profitable earning system. And there's just a lot of artsy horror movies that are actually really fucking good. Talk to Me, Hereditary, just like a bunch of like artsy horror movies that can be led as prestigious into the Oscars, but it's kind of pushed outside the door and said, yeah, Daddy Defoe, you are due for an Oscar. Like you've been hitting continuously. Really fucking good performances, but unfortunately you're not allowed to be past the gate, sir. How about you take your 12-inch dick out of this place? It's consistently getting snubbed, and this month with horror, it's been at its peak. It's like so many good horror movies back to back to back to back. Like we got Hokum, we got Leviticus.
He's gay, but he has a special connection to classical music. There's many things.
We got Obsession, and then we got Backroom. So we got like a bunch coming out this month that are very artsy, very prestigious, very like, you know, good movies, allegedly, because I haven't seen them all yet. I've only seen like 2. People are starting to have some debates about if it would even get like a Oscar nomination, if it's gonna even be seen at the Oscars. Probably not. And I just wanted to talk about the Oscars as a whole and why it hates horror movies so much. And I always see people asking why, and I got the answers. Also, I got a really good horror face. Like if I were to play a monster, I feel like I would be terrifying. Like just watch. That hurts my face a lot, but it looks better when I'm doing it. Oh. Acting. Okay, let's get into it. Brief rundown. What is the Oscars? The Oscars is this annual event held at Dolby Theatre every year for the past 97 years to essentially congratulate actors, actresses, everyone in between, their rewards for their acting or their movies, just any movies that come out in the years that have gained a lot of popularity, gained a lot of traction, a lot of impact, just good movies overall. It's one of the biggest events of the year alongside like Met Gala and the Super Bowl. It generates a ton of income every year. All the celebrities are decked out in Prada and like in all these Gucci fucking designer outfits. There's the red carpet, then you get put in, and then there's this 2-hour montage of either Jimmy Kimmel just trying to be funny. Actually, over the years, it's lost a lot of viewership because of their funny humor. I don't know what it's about, but like Oscar humor, like on stage Oscar humor is like the most driest and like lamest shit I've ever seen. It's so stripped of anything that might be like authentic because it's like gone through so many producers and so many different people's hands to look at it and be like, yep, that's okay to say. Kind of get this like really bland amount of humor that just doesn't really resonate, and it actually feels really uncanny because it's a lot of these like really good comedians and that they're really funny like in every other thing, but then when they're put in front of the screen they're like,
that was an act.
Yeah. We were acting.
fart joke. anyways, to say this the least, it's a big pop culture event that happens every year, and everyone gathers to get their awards. They say their thank yous. They say da 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 da. I mean, you must be living under a rock if you don't know the Oscars. Over the last years, there used to be a good amount of Oscar wins for horror movies, few and far between, but they would still be there. But now they're quite non-existent. Unless it's for like score or sound, anything in particular. Maybe it gets the rare costume design, but it really never wins anything. It doesn't matter what director, it doesn't matter what actor or actress, it doesn't matter anything about it. It just matters that it never gets anything. I mean, I can go on forever about Oscars just being not the best way you can deem it as like, oh yeah, it's a good movie or not, because it's literally just ran by a bunch of people that have like a bunch of billboards in their hands and they're like, oh, what's the most popular at the time? Joker. Yes, Joaquin Phoenix, walk up there now. But I wanted to delve a little into it. And I see that people say the assumption is it's because it's a bad genre, because it's been watered down over the years consistently with bad movies, with bad jump scares. Like, a lot of the time people think a jump scare is now just someone walking behind very quickly in a scene and then the sound goes like it's very consistently shit in the 2000s, and people reference like Insidious. They reference all these terrible horror movies that have come out. Like it's called the dead teenager trope, where like there's just like teenagers that get killed off one by one, and it's just kind of like not really liked by Oscars, but also not really liked by me. Like you move past a trope at the end of the day, you know, like time moves by, things change. And I don't really think that's the reason, honestly. A lot of people just boil it down to, it's because it's so oversaturated with so many bad movies. You could say that about dramas. You could say that about like action movies, and Fast and Furious is still going, you know, like you could say that about any genre. That's not the reason. So I wanted to address that, and I'll come back to it later, but I also just want to run through the history of horror. So we're going to go all the way back to 1896, when the first horror movie, which was a 3-minute short, was The Haunted Castle. It just depicts this person running around doing shenanigans, vampire, skeleton, is that it? Yeah. Another vampire, you know, fuck! Was just getting invented for the first time, so they were just playing around with the genre a bit. Again, it was just an evolution of things. So also, most of my knowledge came from this man. I'm essentially copying and pasting one of his parts where he says, because it really resonated with me. When I saw it, I was like, yes, that's what it is. Sorry, but it's true. So please follow him. I'm just using his framework of his case study on this subject as a little bit of a reference point for the next couple of minutes. When movies and horror movies starting to get picked up around 1920 to 1930, that was the stage of experimental horror movies, where everything was kind of traditional characters of horror, more focused on fear and how to provoke imagery that would freak you out with these traditional characters. These characters were like Nosferatu, a lot of vampire themes, witchcraft, Phantom of Opera, just like notoriously big characters throughout media. And then it paved the way to 1927, when the silent movies were shoved aside for the talkies. There was a lot of controversy back in the day about, we shouldn't do talkies. It's actually really interesting though, because like it's such a big transition from like having no sound and just relying purely on music to having to, now the actors have to start thinking about vocal range and how to manipulate their voices to become more emotional in scenes. And there was also a lot to do with production and how it was difficult for directors to transition from not yelling cut or action so many times, because they didn't really know how to silence that out. It was really hard to cut up film. And it was also, there was a huge job loss in musicians and actors, because some actors just couldn't move their way through and like use expressions in their voices. And I'm ready for my close-up. Sorry. One of my favorite movies. Do you even really love cinema if you don't have one of your favorite movies being like a pretentious black and white cinema movie? people within the orchestra no longer had like significant amounts of development in film. They I mean, they still do, but like back then it was like a huge transition from 1927, 1930, then all the way to 1940. It was all iconic horror characters. They were really trying to experiment it up. They had a lot of fun with it. They didn't know where they were going a lot of the time. We got Frankenstein, the Invisible Man, Bride of Frankenstein, the Mummy, Dracula, but not Nosferatu, because Nosferatu, you're a bit creepy. Not gonna lie. Have you thought about braces? We got the whole gang, all the Disney princesses floating in the pink background. Hell yeah. So that's when all the notorious characters were introduced and made. They all just stem from grotesque ideas. After these icons enter the screen, there's just a lot of reactions from the audiences, like people like actually feeling so scared that they faint, like in Dracula. People running out of the cinema, people don't know what to do, they call the police on the cinema and they ask them to shut it down. Like there's so much reaction to this fear that they feel inside of them that they actually take action to do something crazy because it's just a movie. But is it just a movie? We'll find out in the next episode. It was so impactful, and it's called the golden age of cinema for a reason, because no one has experienced this amount of emotion that it literally drives people to do insane stuff in order to feel like they are achieving something within themselves that is relieving themselves from it. It's a big thing to feel an emotion directly from something that is made up and then act on the emotion, even though it's from the thing that's made up. These movies weren't even about anything. They were just like movies about like made up monsters, and yeah, they were still scary and they're based in fear, but like there was nothing external in the world that was like pushing them to be like, okay, I should actually jump into gun. You know, it's just these traditional things. It's just fear in itself that provoked this level.
And the curiosity to figure out what's behind the message, what's the underlining problem. Finding a little bit of awe in the attraction of something dark.
1950 to 1960 was all about the fear of the atomic bomb. The idea of dying instantly in a war, it was terrifying, and so they displayed it in different ways in cinema. Something foreign can come into your country and wipe you out, and if we're not going to be here for a long time, we're going to be here for a good time. And this kind of going into the hippie timeline, 1970 to 1980 was the generation of people just starting to do the peace movement with no peace. A lot of drugs. No, everyone was very motivated to go back to school. A lot of people were confused with their governments and were questioning things. People just wanted to feel the good vibes. So the horror movies started shoving down our throats. Hey, you know what's good? You know who survives? People who go to school. Horror movies, 1970 horror movies scared people into having moral compasses and to have a bit more of a structure in their life, which is probably a good thing, a little. They pushed people into colleges and they're like, oh, there's people that were survivors. They didn't give away their sex. They were virgins. They studied after the horror movie at the hopeful end, and they're like, oh, only the whores and the people that are smoking weed and people that don't go to school die, and chastising the youth a bit about it. It was like, scares you back into the church, saying you should believe in something actually, if you want to defeat these demons. You know, the remaining survivors are really smart and they're going to go to college, and they outsmart the villain in a way. He's like the working class, or like he's just dumb and unsturdy with his life, but also sympathetic, can be understood and like reasoned with, and almost can be like a nightmare story of what you could be like if you go down this path and you don't go to college. They really wanted that college loan up. They wanted you to go to school, bitch.
Why don't you tell us some shit that we're actually going to use in our real lives?
Because also the hippie movement as well was very sexual. A lot of orgies, a lot of drug-infused sex. Women became a little more promiscuous in the West. They kind of pushed into the narrative, hey guys, if you're a whore, you'll fucking die. If you sleep with one more person outside of marriage, you might as well say hi to Jason Voorhees. Okay, you're getting a theme here. 1990s, still playing into that stereotype of all those tropes and trying to push you into some structure, into getting educated and forming a bit more of a less horror life. But this time, we are less serious. We are leaning more into the satirical aspects, making fun of horror movies. It leans into the absurdity of it all, very shoving down an ideal in your face. People kind of just wanted to have a little bit of fun, less doom and gloom until 9/11. And when people talk about 9/11 and how it changed everything, I don't really register how much it's changed remotely everything. I mean, of course it changed media and everything around that, but it changed absolutely everything about the landscape of this world. So obviously, from the 2000s to the 2010s, everything got more direct and dramatic and serious again. But this time it kind of focused on like the propaganda around the army. I forgot to mention in the 1940s to 50s, they had a lot of propaganda in the army. But here it was like on an astronomical level. Like most of the horror movies that were filmed in that region, in those time periods, they were kind of kept in a little town or kept in a little house. This time it was in the horror movies, the monster would take over the planet, or the monster was at an economical crash that would destroy the world and destroy the youth, and it made people scared for the youth growing up because of these problems that are world ending. These big climate, environmental, mental problems just fester, and one by one it gets worse and gets worse, and there's no end in sight, and the children are fucked because if this is the world that they live in, how can we even say that we're human anymore? Like it was on that level, like endless doom and suffering from that point, from one event to the other. And then, 2010s till now, the monsters are becoming more indestructible. It's as if they are inevitable. Like there's no changing the course of this. Maybe it's because in the past movies have critiqued as very small scale, so everything gets bigger by the year. But I think it's directly intertwined with Escape too. Honestly, it's more abstract and it's more gory, and there's more senselessness in it, and there's more evil that is like directly inside of them that is perpetuating out for no external reason. There's no reason to why they're doing these atrocities, and there's no end in sight, and there's no way you can get out of it at such a small scale as in yourself. It just makes us fear the future, and also more recently fear technology and fear for our children. They're going to be living in this world after so much shit has happened to like transform the world as a whole. So you can kind of see the overlaying theme throughout the history of horror, and how all of our day-to-day anxieties and fears about the world, and how we evolve by the environment that we're in and the government that dictates whatever we can do and what we want to do, and then the societal norms that have been pushed onto us can be digested into cinema, so because it's so influential. And as well as certain beliefs and certain practices, such as not having sex and going to school, can be internalized into media and pushed to the young audience, so they can suck that in and be like, okay, I gotta do that, and internalize, so it can change how we feel about things and change how we do our life. So with all that background, horror is political. Like, there's no doubt about it. I mean, everything can be political, but horror is political. It calls out our systems for keeping us reinforced in our structure, so we don't have to look up in any degree and think, oh, what do I actually have a thought outside of this system? It directs us to show how helpless we are as individuals in the grand scheme of everything, and how we are perpetually just cogs turning the wheels for these other billionaires and these other trillionaires and all and how we can be so easily controlled by narratives from directors that are pushed forward from government agendas. Maybe some of them are good intentioned, but the not so good intentions from our government into film to start us being more misogynistic and being like, how dare you be promiscuous, and how dare you choose not to go to school and pay all your life savings towards going to school? How dare we think about peace, and even if it's on a surface layer, how dare we use our free will for something else that isn't helping these millionaires out? Like, it wants to force you into a structure and keep you there because it's what you're supposed to do, so you can keep interacting and giving money away willingly and not doing anything about any of the environmental causes, because you can't do anything as one singular person. But as the horror movies kind of ride out, you can't do something as an individual, but you can do something as an entire group. Creative freedom that we give to creators or writers is something that helps perpetuate these ideas, because these come from working class people. Like, these artsy films with these subtle analogies and these monsters that sound very horrific, they're from working class individuals that simultaneously have went through traumatic events to reach this point where they can say it on a platform, hey, this is something that we're going to point out, and you should yell. Reason A24 got so big in the beginning is because it's actually relatable material that caters to individuals like myself and you that are relatable to ourselves and isn't so like surface layer. Because if it's surface layer, you don't have to really look in depth about it, and you don't have to really think about it. It can just serve as stimulation to your brain. And the more creative and more freedom we give to these writers, the more likely they're going to delve into things that we are provoked to think about. You know, these systems are only benefiting the rich and the politicians and the people that control the government and the people that control your bank accounts and everyone in between. Companies partner with investors and they partner with billionaires. I mean, it's literally the Oscars. The Oscars is ran by Disney and like a bunch of other executive companies that collaborate so they can advertise things on a global platform.
$1 billion economic engine that powers everything from local businesses to the global fashion industry. It's the most profitable non-sporting event on American television. ABC pays $70 to $100 million a year to the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences just to air the show. My former employer Disney owns both ABC and Hulu, which also streamed the ceremony this year in addition to the main broadcast. Advertisers like Rolex and Burger King then pay Disney up to $2.3 million for a single 30-second ad spot. For context, a Super Bowl commercial for the same 30 seconds costs around $7 to $8 million. But the Oscars are still the most expensive and prestigious ad buy outside of sports.
I do believe, yeah, there is bad movies, and bad movies are coming out all the time, and especially in the horror genre, it's so saturated because once you get like one really good movie that gives you that really exciting feeling like I talked about, where you literally jump out and you're feeling provoked to do something because of that fear. Like, you check the front door and you lock the front door, and then you check like under your bed, and then you go to sleep and you close the door and you lock everything up, but then you ask yourself, am I locking him in the house or is he outside the house? You know, that fear level is so addictive once you get into it. It's like an adrenaline junkie on like an amusement park. Like, it's insane. Of course, there's going to be bad movies that are coming out organically and by themselves, and not because of it's a big company that's trying to brainwash you. But I do believe the pretentious actors and the big movie guys in charge definitely push the narrative that, yeah, these movies aren't good and they don't actually meet our quota because we're just being pretentious and they're just bad movies and it's a bad genre. Yeah, just look away. Like, that's bullshit, you know? Like, there's good movies and bad movies and everything. You just don't want us to pay attention to the things that it's trying to tell us and that we can actually do something about it. And this leads me into my next point. I'm saying from that, they're trying to turn down the effectiveness and like the impact that it has because of the influence that it brings to people. What it does to people, it brings people to action. Like, a lot of the times when people are scared, they want to do something about it. Humans are motivated by evolving and surviving, and that's been our core feature for the past fucking thousands and hundreds and millions of years. I don't know how long humans have been alive for, but It's been our core function. If anything goes wrong, we go into flight mode because our body is constantly trying to protect us. And if there's enough fear that motivates us and shows us something that is going to crush us and kill us and perpetually make our lives hell, like in the movies, then it might spark a revolution. It might actually spark people to do action, to feel enough emotion, and then do action. Because people only really do action when there's fear at a large scale with everyone behind them, except for the billionaires and the millionaires. Of course, it's gonna change something, and that's what they don't want you to do. They don't want you to like scared to a point where you can all group together and then like stomp them out of existence. Horror points out this is the problem in the world, and this is who's the problem in it. There's this thing that is holding us down, and it's killing us slowly but surely, sucking us of every ounce of energy and money and anything that we need to gather in order to survive. But you are constantly pushed away from it because you don't actually have to face it. When you watch any other movie, up to experience and all that, but whenever you watch another movie, you don't feel like an action to do anything after, really. A lot of the time you leave like maybe feeling like the main character and feeling like you're in like that movie tone for the duration of the day. But dramas are stories that you can just pay attention to. Documentaries are just information that you can feel more aware to. But horror movies provoke fear in you, and it makes you do action. And if you do action, you actually change things. Horror is so much more than what people think it is. It literally gets people out of their chairs and getting people to do stuff. It really doesn't matter if you are like this big actor, big director, if you made something so beautiful, so profound, so creative, so abstract. If you are a horror movie, then you are pushed down because you are the speaker. You are the person that is trying to gather an audience and say, hey, this is what's been going on in the world. This is who's hurting you. And now you're just left with all this fear, so you're gonna do something. I mean, that's literally what Donald Trump does. Down to the T. I'm connecting things in my head and everything's going so fast. I mean, like January 6th, he provoked them with fear of like losing their freedom. Actually, I won the election, and these guys think I didn't win the election, and they are overthrowing the government, and they're getting rid of freedom of choice. So do with that what you do. I'm not saying overthrow them, but I'm gonna literally ride the line and say overthrow them on this day.
You have to show strength, and you have to be strong.
Crazy. And you know what? They did it. They did it because fear provoked them. They were passionate enough. They knew it was something that was in themselves going to change their life. It really didn't change their life. I'm sorry. It really didn't. You were fooled by a billionaire. Fuck you, Donald Trump. I fucking hate your guts.
Young T and this bitch with niece Queen Key. I done told these hoes Queen is key.
Subscribe if you hate Donald Trump. Like, fear is such a good motivator. A lot of the times because it gets people doing shit. Why do you think people go to the first thing when they're like talking about like think about when you're in your deathbed, think about when you did. Like, people start in motion because they are so scared of what it comes after. What is this, you know? Like, people get in motion. Like, they don't just feel their emotions. They're not just distracted and they're just like in the story. They literally feel provoked to do something. And the Oscars in itself is just not really anything about the movies. It's everything about advertising. It's about PR. I mean, Timothée Chalamet didn't get that Oscar for a reason. He didn't get that Oscar because he was shitting on the ballet. And yeah, the Oscars are run by a bunch of pretentious people. Obviously, the ballet is really important. But I'm just saying, he did one thing and then he was slammed for it. Not saying I love him anyways. He is a mess. Oscars is all about image. It's all about how you represent yourself because it's the biggest platform for advertising, for everything profit and money. It's all about money. It's all about earning money. When you're bringing so many celebrities, it feels like fucking Endgame, you know? Like, it's literally everything to do with profit, money, margins, how we can make the movies more profitable, how can we earn more money this way. It's nothing to do with the movie and the integrity of the quality, or if it's done something outlandish and experimental and something unique and beautiful. If it's hard hitting, if it's impactful, it has nothing to do with that. It's everything to do with marketing, PR, and earning more money. My sister and I were talking about my video idea the other day, and she told me there was this rundown video, this deep dive video of Leonardo DiCaprio and why he actually won the Oscars in the end. This is only a theory, but the facts are there to back it up. Essentially, he had a bad image. He was a playboy. He dated a bunch of girls that are like under 25 and then break up with them at 25. Like, that's his shtick. He was just like a general like douchebag, you know. No, he wasn't really respected in Hollywood in itself. Amazing projects, and he did amazing performances, but no one respected him, and he didn't uphold that image that can be broadcasted on the screen. He would not win that Oscar until he upholded and built his image back up. He started many climate activist stuff, all the organizations to charity and how we can help the world, and he was operating under like a very PI image. He started being very private about his life. All he's ever known for now is just how he's done for climate and how much he posts about how much he's an activist. He became more respected. He became more matured in the public's eye. He still dated people who was 25. Crazy work. And that's how he won the Oscar, because he finally built his image back up. He built up respect. He kept and having great performances, but he literally had to curate his image for years in order to get that Oscar. Not because he loves climate change or whatever, I don't know him. Not because he wants to stop talking to people that are under the age of 25, leveling on 18, 19. No, he's gonna still be doing that. He just wanted that damn Oscar. And that's why Timothée Chalamet didn't win, because he had a terrible image. He had a campaign running, and he was looking like he was gonna win. Like Michael B. Jordan, I love Michael B. Jordan, and Sinners was so good, but like, you know, he didn't really have a big campaign running for himself. And then as soon as he said that one thing about the ballet, he was out. And then, you know what, all the advertisements, it's literally soaked into every aspect. Like, Michael B. Jordan went to In-N-Out right after, and you might just thinking, oh, it's a humble moment. Not shitting on Michael B. Jordan. I lick you up all the way up and down, just so they can get like a bit of a money back on that. Like, he probably was paid. Let's be honest, probably paid for that interaction. The advertisements on there, you know, like fucking, it's everything. The Oscars, obviously, is just so to be peddled to popular movies so they can not lose viewership, because they need that money. They keep doing the advertisements. They want just a good image and a very sanitized humor around it, watered down. It's not about creativity, guys. Let's be real. It's about being scared of people, working class people, because they outnumber you, bitch. And if you give them a big platform, then of course they're gonna fucking revolt against you. If you say this is the movie of the year, then it's gonna fucking freak everyone out. In saying this, Parasite did win Best Movie of the Year, but I actually would say that Parasite is very not specific, you know? It can be classed as like rich people as a whole, or like just rich people that are upper middle class, like they got a bunch of money and they are very comfortable in themselves, but it's not like rich people like celebrities or like billionaires. It's like kind of categorized as like a rich family on your neighborhood that don't have to worry about like paying someone back. Categorized as that level. It's not bringing it too high. Even big companies now are bringing attention to the rich and eat the rich stuff, but I honestly think that it's like a controlled system that levels it out. Like they have to address it at some point, or someone else is just going to take it out of their hands. I do believe it's like that. Like they're addressing the issue as a joke, and they're addressing it in like a surface layer way, so you don't have to really prod around. But I'm not saying Parasite is that. Parasite was amazing. I'm just saying Parasite really is aimed towards like rich people that are on the neighborhood. Movies are so inspirational. I am a huge movie person. Movies are so important. They're so important, and horror movies are astronomically so much more important because it provokes fear and it pushes you to do something. It doesn't just keep you stagnant, like not really like only you're stimulating your like senses in watching it, but also, and then you're also talking about it in your head after, but it brings something more. It pushes you to do something, because fear is the response that we have to motivation. We don't want this as our life, but it's pushed onto us constantly, and the moment we're told, hey, then do something, because you can't do it by yourself. You got to do it with everyone. If you want this to actually change, then people start doing something. It's really hard to gather people up and be like, hey, let's do something as a collective. So, what did you think about my video? Did you think I was wrong? Did you think the Oscars are about arts. You think that horror movies have a different reason why they're snubbed all the time? Let me know in the comment section. Again, I'm really grateful for 800 subscribers. I'm so thankful. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna make more videos soon. I'm just in between structure and cycle at the moment. I also want to say that horror movies this year have been getting more recognized, like Weapons and Sinners, but it still is a slow climb to getting better. Yeah, I love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. I always read them religiously. So thank you so much again, and I hope you have a good day. Did I leave anything out? No. Thank you. Thank you so much again, guys. Bye.